Welcome back to the channel where we have a new video every Saturday. Today we're doing another tier list. We're going to be talking about Disney villain sidekicks. And so let's just get right to it. Oh, but before we do, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. I've got the list down below if you want to make your own tier list. And you can go ahead and share that with people and, compare with your friends. Which is the best Disney villain sidekick? Anyway, let's get to the tier list. So we're going to be talking about Disney villain sidekicks. And so we're going to be lumping together duos. So if it's two characters that always work together, even if they're not like exactly the same, we're going to lump them together. And so that's going to get us to our first one, which is Honest John Worthington Foulfellow and Gideon the Cat. And so these guys are from Pinocchio, and they work for a guy named the Coachman. They meet up with Pinocchio a couple times. They're just trying to get him to do like bad things so that then he can get like kidnapped, which is pretty bad. They're just getting money out of this, though. They aren't like, don't have any, from what I can remember, don't have any malicious feelings towards Pinocchio himself. And so right now I'm going to put him at a C tier. We're going to say C tier for John Foulfellow and for Gideon the Cat. So we'll start there. I feel like they're a good baseline. All right, next we move on to the two stepsisters, which are named Drizella and Anastasia, which I did not know until I was doing my homework here. Of course, they are sidekicks or minions to their mom. They're bullies, but like they're forever bullies. They have been, messing with Cinderella for years, and that ain't right. And so they're pretty evil. Do I like them? Because that's where we're going with the ranking, is where I would want to put them, how cool I think they are and everything. Because then it's completely subjective and you can't tell me I'm wrong. I think I'll put them C tier also. I'm going to put them above John and Gideon. Disney's going to go for a while where they're just going to name animals after the devil. And so we have Lucifer the Cat, who is a foil to Cinderella's sidekicks, which I think is a good thing for a sidekick to do. He's pretty evil. He wants to eat him. So he's automatically worse than or more evil and like messed up than the stepsisters, because he's actually out to kill somebody. I'm going to put Lucifer because he's got a cool name and he's like an evil cat. He'll go B tier. Next up, we got Mr. Smee from Peter Pan, who works for Captain Hook. He's great. He is not the best version of Smee, though. Best version of Smee is going to be in Hook itself. In fact, it might be like the only thing in Hook that is the best version of Peter Pan. Bob Hoskins is fantastic, as always. But this Smee is pretty cool. He's got a good look. I like the striped shirt. I always look at Disney characters. I'm like, well, who could I cosplay as? Who could I be? Because, I'm past the point where I would even think or dream of being any kind of prince or anything. And so I'm like, well, this fat guy with white hair, it's kind of right up my alley. He's very subservient to Captain Hook, which is good for a minion. He's not evil, though. He doesn't seem to be super evil. I don't ever remember seeing Smee himself pick up arms against children. We're going to go high C. That could be my biggest mistake of this. Next up, we've got Diablo, who works for probably the most evil Disney bad guy, Maleficent. I don't care what Angelina Jolie movies try to tell me. Evil Maleficent is the best Maleficent. Again, a devil name. And he's a raven. Diablo's not very memorable. Maleficent steals the show in that movie. And so I'm just going to give him, we're going to go D tier for Diablo. D for Diablo. Jasper and Horace come up next, who work for Cruella de Vil, the cruel devil. See, again, Disney being super original with their bad guy names. But they work for her. And these guys, are out to kill. But, they're not out to kill like a person. They're out to kill just 100 dogs. So, that's not that bad. It's just 100 dogs. And, it's not even that bad because they're baby dogs. They're just trying to kill 100 baby dogs. So, they're pretty bad. And they're just doing it for money, too. Yeesh, these guys. But they got a good look. Got a skinny one and a fat one. I like it. I'm going to give them a B. Here comes Robin Hood with two villain sidekicks. First up, we got Sir Hiss. He's got a fun voice. He's got a good design. He can hypnotize people. Not super evil, though. He is a fun type of villain who like resents the guy who he has to work for. It's purely because of like fear and position that he works for them. And that's a fun character to watch. So I'm going to give Hiss a B. Is he above Smee? Yes. Then we move to the sheriff of Nottingham, who's a wolf, and he steals from the poor. He does the opposite, of Robin Hood, stealing from the poor and giving to the rich. And so, he's pretty heartless when it comes to that. I'm going to put him in C tier, though. He's not as good as Hiss, not as memorable. He just kind of picks on poor people, which, not really a fan of. Because that's like bad, but not like fun bad. Let's give him above the stepsisters, but not quite Smee. Next up, we're going to get to a real despicable dude. His name's Mr. Snoops. And Mr. Snoops works for Madame Medusa in the movie The Rescuers. If you haven't watched The Rescuers lately, I'm going to tell you, hey, go watch The Rescuers. It's awesome. Super sniveling, super just like afraid of the other bad guys that are in the movie, including the other sidekick that are in there. And, he gets like talked down to by a little girl. A little girl is not afraid of this guy. To be fair, she's not afraid of the alligators either, or the crocodiles either. And she's pretty awesome. She's pretty tough. But so let's see where that puts us with Mr. Snoops. I think he's like a D. He's D tier, but he's better than Diablo because he's got personality. But nobody watches The Rescuers because they're like, that Mr. Snoops. Brutus and Nero are our next ones we've got to deal with. They are crocodiles, and they work for, again, Madame Medusa in The Rescuers. And so, looking at their design, they do have personalities. They have a fun scene with a piano, or I guess it's a pipe organ, where they're trying to eat the mice. And I like that kind of stuff. It's fun. You get to laugh at them, but they are still a threat. And that's a good combo to have. I'm going to go ahead and put them above Smee. C tier, though. So I had never seen the Black Cauldron, but then, in fact, I almost didn't watch it. I almost started filming the video, and then my wife said, did you watch the Black Cauldron yet? Because you got to watch it. And I said, no, I didn't. And so I put off filming this video for a whole day because I wanted to watch the Black Cauldron. And let me say this. I'm so glad that I watched the Black Cauldron. First off, it's super awesome. And the creeper, who is our sidekick in this movie, is super fun. He is totally afraid of the Horn King. He gets physically abused by him, which, again, not a good thing in real life, but in a cartoon when a little goblin guy is getting abused, it's pretty funny. There's a scene where he beats himself up so that way he doesn't get beat up by the Horn King. Great stuff. Very funny voice, but not over the top. This guy is great. And you know what? He's going to be our first A tier. Fidget the Bat is going to be our first S tier. Am I biased on this? Yes. Is The Great Mouse Detective my favorite animated Disney movie? Yes. But Fidget the Bat's voice sounds like this.
No problem. I took care of everything. Everything on the list.
And so that's a big thing for him. He's got a peg leg. He's got cool clothes. He steals and is evil and kidnaps a little girl. And I'm pretty sure, has murdered people. He's a good bad guy. S tier for Fidget the Bat. Roscoe and DeSoto are two dogs from the movie Oliver and Company. They work for a guy named Sykes, who is like a loan shark. And they try to kill a little kitten. And they fight Billy Joel as a dog. And they're pretty mean, but they both die. One of them falls on the electrical line on the subway and just gets toasted. This movie is pretty brutal for what it is. You forget about it, but it is pretty messed up. But they're pretty scary. Not a lot of fun, but they are scary, and which is something I can't say about any of those guys. But the Smee factor is going to help him out a little bit. We'll put him in C tier. Next up, we go under the sea with Flotsam and Jetsam from The Little Mermaid. They work for Ursula, and they're pretty malicious and evil. They, aren't being manipulated. Like, she calls them her pets. They're obviously just doing the mean things that they do because they like to do mean things. And they talk, which I totally forgot about until I was rewatching the movie. But they don't really say anything memorable. That's why you forget that they talk. I'm going to go ahead and put them, when it comes to our duos of identical animals, they might be the best ones. No, I'm going to put them here, right below Nero and Brutus. We go from under the sea to down under with Joanna, who's a monitor lizard from the movie The Rescuers Down Under. Man, The Rescuers just in general does not get enough love for how good like the characters in it are, the good guys and the bad guys. Joanna is super funny, especially for a character that doesn't talk at all, no dialogue, but is still super memorable and funny, but yet still a legitimate threat to our heroes because, again, they're mice. She's fast, she's cunning, and I'm going to put her above the cat, B tier. Not quite a creeper level. Lefou from Beauty and the Beast is great. He's got one of my favorite songs in the entire movie with Gaston. And to be fair, I mean, he shares it with Gaston. But he is like a little garbage man who is just like leeching off of this bully. And I love it. I'm going to put Lefou A tier. Now, that might be controversial, but I don't care. Here we have the tops. I think maybe the best, the gold standard, Iago. It's not fair that Gilbert Gottfried had to be in the same movie as Robin Williams when he's being the genie, because the performance that he brings as Iago is like top notch, tasty, delicious, but just, gets overshadowed because of what Robin Williams was doing. But in any other movie, it would be like, Gilbert Gottfried is the best, and everybody should love this performance, because it is. He has to deal with the Sultan when he's, just being a regular parrot, but then once they're in power, he gets to like exert dominance over him, which is fun to see. Iago, who is one of the only one of these villains to show up in a second movie, gets actual character development, and it is enjoyable to see in that as well. And so for those reasons, Iago is the tippity top S tier. We have our first group of three with Shenzi, Banzai, and Ed, who work for Scar in The Lion King. They are a good combo. We got, Whoopi Goldberg in there as pretty much the leader of them. And, I think they're going to be A tier too. They're threatening to the baby lions. And in fact, they turn on Scar at the end, and that is super cool too. So, A tier. What do I think about this stupid dog? Percy from Pocahontas is tough for me. He's a foil for the raccoon, but he isn't super villainous. And in fact, he's like working with them like by the end very openly. As a villain, I think Percy's gonna be D tier. Not to be outdone in being bad, Wiggins, who works for Governor Radcliffe, is going to be my first F tier. I just don't like him. Pain and Panic from Hercules, on the other hand, are going to be A tier. We're going to put them up above the Creeper. I just love these guys. Super funny. Not like a legitimate threat, but they are evil. In that, like, they kidnap a baby and try to murder it. Hey, Abusa the Falcon from Mulan is just a flying bird, which is a stupid thing to say because most birds fly. It's dumb. Despite having the powers of a normal bird, he is an evil Hun, trained to do evil things. But again, he just kind of going to fall into this bird category that I got going on right here, of two. Not like a strong category. It's just two. But he's going to be better than Diablo. And you know what? I'm actually going to put him above Mr. Snoops too. But he's just D. Just not a lot of personality. He does get roasted by Mushu, which is fun. But still, not much for me. Oh, wait. But then Mushu rides on him? Guys, guess who's moving up in the world? C tier. We're going to put him above. We're going above Roscoe and DeSoto. Yes, that's where he lands. This one I felt a little weird for having on the list, but it's like the Hun Lieutenant. There's the Hun Army in Mulan that's just like nameless. But then there's like these guys who like you recognize their face. There's like the archer guy, and there's like the guys who are like there's twins and they're big and bulky. They're better than all of those guys, but not better than the Sheriff of Nottingham. I'm going to give him a C. No, I'm not. Yes, I am. C, but below the Stepsisters. Look out. Here comes another S tier. Kronk. Boom. Kronk is going to land second place. The Emperor's New Groove is probably the funniest Disney movie. And Kronk is probably the funniest part of that movie. He sings his own theme song. He can talk to squirrels. He's constantly aggravating his main villain, who he is just like in a romantic relationship with. Like their whole dynamic is completely unique. Plus Patrick Warburton. You guys. Patrick Warburton. The man. Kronk. S tier. Don't at me. And we're going to go from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows here, though. Guys, I had not seen Home on the Range, but I did my due diligence and I watched it. And what it lacks in quality, it makes up for with the amount of villain sidekicks, because there are like 5 of them in this movie. Luckily, 3 of them are a trio. So we have the Willy Brothers, which are these guys. They are just like dumb sidekick guys who can't recognize their boss when he is in a disguise. I'm going to put them in a D tier. They at least have personality. I like them more than Mr. Snoops. And so I'm going with D tier. Next we have Junior the Buffalo, who is in love with the Jennifer Tilly cow. Where will you go, Mr. Buffalo? Do I like you more than the Willy Brothers? Yes. Do I like you more than anybody in C tier? No. D. Rico, on the other hand, gets a little bit of a bump for me, because I know it's like super obvious, like a super obvious twist that he ends up being a bad guy, but I did not see it coming, guys. I just didn't see it coming. And that's going to boost him up just a little bit into C tier, but the very, very bottom of it. The Stabbington Brothers from Tangled, though Tangled itself is a good movie, these guys really don't bring a lot for me personally. Voiced by Ron Perlman, that is a plus. Of course, better than anything in, Home on the Range. Can be better than... No, you know what? I think I like the Mulan guys more than these ones. Even though they don't have names, I like them more. And finishing up the list with the guy from maybe my second favorite Disney animated movie, Wreck-It Ralph. We got Sour Bill. He's a unique kind of guy on this list because he's the sidekick to King Candy, but he's kind of like brainwashed. He doesn't do anything evil. I like him as a character, but when it comes to being a minion for King Candy, he doesn't do a lot. Let's just put him in... Hey, you know what? C tier stacked. What's one more guy? All right, what's one more guy in C tier? I like him more than these guys, than those guys, than those ones, than them. That's going to be where you live, Sour Bill. Right there. And that is going to wrap up the tier list. Thanks so much for watching. Hey, if you're here at the end of the video, please comment that. Tell me, hey, I watched the whole thing, and then tell me who your favorite would be. Who would be your top tier when it comes to Disney villain sidekicks? I like doing these kind of tier lists, and so I'm always looking for ideas on things that I should rank. So if you have an idea for a tier list that we should do, hey, let me know that too. Thanks for watching. Thanks for liking. Thanks for subscribing. And, just be good to each other and enjoy watching movies. And we'll see you again next Saturday. Bye-bye.